right here with you. In this world of ticking clocks, I hope I'm getting through. So close your eyes. Do you feel the same? Only thing that matters without change. I will let you into my mind's deep. Recover the fallen tears that have been long asleep. Lights are out and heaven's open. We can be everything we want. Oh, stop the clocks, the bees are humming in between the contrasts of our souls. Stop the clocks, the bees are humming in between the contrasts of our soul. Get out of your skin. Only this matters. Let it in.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Surprise Your Spirit. I am Kendra, your host from Surprise Your Spirit. And like I said, this is the Surprise Your Spirit show. I would like to welcome back all guests who join me every Thursday evening on the Surprise Your Spirit show. And I would like to welcome all new listeners to the show. So just a little bit about me, who I am, what I do, and what the show's about. So I am a intuitive reader, a psychic medium from Saskatchewan, Canada, and I own a mind, body, spirit wellness business called Surprise Your Spirit. And my show is about all things spiritual, all things energy, all things new age. Really, it's about journeys and sharing so everyone can have a safe space to learn and to love and to network. So anything that can help people to move forward on their journey in a more loving way, in a more joyful way, hear other people's stories, find techniques and tools, ideas. I'll learn about people in the New Age world or spiritual community, whatever you choose to call it. That's what my show is all about, is connecting people with people and ideas and new perspectives to help them throughout their journey. So I do have free reading nights. I have guests on the show to share their expertise and their perspectives on the journey here, as depending on where you're at on your journey will depend on how you resonate with the guests that I have. You can find me at www.surpriseyourspirit.com. You can find me at Surprise Your Spirit on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram at Surprise Your Spirit. I do have a YouTube channel as well. And then the show is put out all over social media. My producer does that, so to be honest, I don't know where it went. She was going through the list earlier, and I don't even know some of the things she named. So you can find me anywhere, but you can definitely find my shows posted on my page. And I'm working on getting them linked up to my website so you can go back and find the podcast there. We have some really great guests booked coming up to be joining us, so I hope that you guys will take a look at the listing. I do have a listing going up this week for the rest of March and April that will be happening, so please check those out. And this evening I have with me Nicky from the UK. She does a YouTube channel all around twin flames, and Nicky is an energy healer, and she specializes in divine love healing, and she has her Reiki Holy Fire 2 Karuna Master course, and she works with crystals and shamanic healing, and she's also a past life regression therapist. So Nicky's developed her own style of healing, and she connects to people's energies and sees everything like a movie. So she's extremely clairvoyant. She did leave a corporate job in 2013 to start her journey of awakening, which happened with her first Reiki session. And so I would like to welcome Nicky to the show to speak with us about twin flames and her YouTube channel, which is Divine Love Crystal Grid, I believe it's called. So welcome. Thank you for joining me, Nicky.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. And you got the name of the YouTube channel right.
Oh, perfect. I was like, I know this. I'm blanking. I'm good. I'm glad. So just so everyone can know right away, so again, the YouTube channel to find Nicky and follow her is Divine Love Crystal Grid, and she can be reached at divinelovecrystalgrid@gmail.com. Now, you also have a Facebook page, is that correct, Nicky?
I do, and that is Forest Lovers Crystal Grid.
Right. I knew it was different, and I couldn't remember it, so I didn't even want to go there. All right. So is there anything that I missed in your bio, Nicky? Please share with the guests a little bit about you, a little bit about your channel, and then we'll just kind of hop in there and I'll ask some questions.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you for this opportunity. This is my first radio interview, so it's quite exciting.
Yay.
But I started, I guess I'll start with how I started the channel.
Sure.
So I was actually quite late to the game on YouTube. I found out about YouTube and started watching twin flamey style videos about, I guess it must be about 18 months, 2 years ago. And I had once had a twin flame picture drawn for me, and the lady who did the painting sent me a link to a video, and it was by somebody I think called SyS, and she was talking about twin flames coming into these different waves of twin flames that were coming to meet. And then I started, and that's the first time that I'd ever seen anyone talk about twin flames. So I was like, oh, wow, what is this? And then I started, and then I basically did a healing for somebody. I did a Reiki session for somebody who had a YouTube channel. And then she said, and that's what I realized about this journey, is that you kind of bring in the people that are there to help you on your spiritual journey and path. And she said to me, oh, wow, you should set up your own channel, because I do a YouTube channel and I'll give you a recommendation. And so I was like, oh, okay. And that's how it happened. So she literally said, you need to get a website up and do a channel this weekend. And it just happened really quickly. And basically I just started doing videos talking about what I was seeing coming through in healings for people. Because what I realized as soon as I started doing the first video and I was talking about what I saw in the healings, it resonated for so many other people who are also on this path. And so what I really quickly realized, that people from all over the world were sharing the same experiences and same synchronicities and same signs. And so then it just snowballed, because then from day one, really, people started coming to me. And then in the videos I share about what I see and the basically the messages that I get from people's energy. I then talk about that, and it just kind of, yeah, it's just gone on from there. And it's been quite an amazing experience, which I totally did not expect at all. But I've just learnt you have to go with it, because nothing is expected, I find, on this journey.
Okay, so yes, and I would say you very well described your channel as a person who visits every now and then and checks in just when I'm guided to hop in there. So I just wanted to, talk a little bit about twin flames for you, and what's your vision of that? And maybe we could talk a little bit also about the books that you've created and the purpose of those. So let's start with twin flames, Nikki. What is twin flame to you? What's your definition of twin flame?
So for me, it's very much the energetic match to your soul. So the other half of your soul, basically. So when, for example, when I met my twin, the very first time I met him, he said to me, oh my goodness, I've met the female version of me. And I kind of thought, oh wow, that's so sweet. But now, of course, having gone through, that was like 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And now I totally understand why and what that means, because they are the vibrational match of you, but they also mirror to you everything. They're basically like they are your yin and yang. So they are the total opposite, but together you make a whole. Okay,
yeah, that's a good explanation. I totally get that. Okay, so what made you, how did you become to, I guess, how did you know you were a twin flame? Like what prompted you to explore it?
Okay, well, this is quite, so I think everyone's twin flame story is really, that's the beautiful thing about everyone's sort of awakening journey or twin flame story or whatever their thing is. So basically I met my twin, and we had this like whirlwind few weeks, or this bubble phase, and it was amazing. And then something happened that triggered him, and basically he said that we just had to be friends. And then we had this kind of very tricky few months where we were trying to be friends, but clearly it was, clearly we weren't friends, and it was very difficult. And basically what happened was it came to a point and I just had to cut contact, because I realized that it was just being really destructive, basically. So I cut contact, but at the same time, I had personal stuff going on in my family. So my dad left my mum, and so I had to look after my mum, and loads of things all sort of happened at the same time. And so I guess what they call the dark night of the soul. But it happened at exactly the right time. So I cut contact with him. I didn't know what had happened, and I couldn't explain. I just knew that we had this incredible connection, and I couldn't explain, and I couldn't, in my mind, it was like what he was saying was so contrary to what I knew that he felt. But of course, what he was saying was totally the opposite to what I felt that he felt. And so it was very bizarre, because I thought, well, I know, for some reason, I know exactly what you're thinking and feeling, but you're saying something totally different, which is why I actually thought I was going mad, which is why I said to him, right, okay, we have to cut contact, because this is just driving, I literally thought I was going crazy. And what happened was, I'd never been to any Reiki or anything like that, but the best way to describe it is, because of all of this happening, plus I was being made redundant at my corporate job. So I had everything going on at once. And I just thought, goodness, I have to do something about this feeling, because literally my heart just felt dead. I just had this heavy weight inside. And I thought, I can't go on like that. That's just, and I basically just felt desperate. And so I'd never heard of Reiki ever. And I just searched for it on Google and just found this lady that did Reiki in my, where I live. And so I went for so I went to the first session. And I remember, because she's now my Reiki master, and I'm actually doing another Reiki tomorrow. So I'm doing a Reiki Seikim, another strand of Reiki. Anyway, and I went, and the first time she did me Reiki, and I was like, she woke me up because I fell asleep. And she said, and I was like, is that it? And so she said, well, because I was like, I've only been here about 10 minutes. And she said, no, you haven't. You've been here for an hour and a half. And I was like, oh, wow. Oh, wow. And I kind of like, I was just a bit, because it was nothing like I'd ever done. I was from a corporate background, totally different. So I just kind of was like, thanked her. And a couple of days later, I couldn't explain it, but I just felt a bit lighter. It felt like the brick had been lifted off my chest. And so I thought, oh, okay, I'll go back again. So I basically went back to her 3 times. And by the end of it, I just felt so much better. And I couldn't explain it. And I was just kind of thinking, wow, I have no idea what you're doing, but I just know that I feel better. And I had a real connection with her and the Reiki. So when I got made redundant, she actually contacted me and said, I'm doing a Reiki course. Would you be interested? And I said, yeah, definitely. So I basically went really quick. I just really felt, when you get a calling for something, as soon as I did it, I was like, because I kind of wanted to know why this was working, I kind of was obsessed, and I did it for everyone and anything that I could think of. So I had this book, and anyone that I met, I would be like, oh, and they would be telling me things. I'd be like, oh, I can do Reiki for that. And I kept this book, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger of all the things that I was doing for various people. And then I did the second Reiki. Oh no, on one of them you learn how to send healing to a situation, or send healing. And so when I did that, I realized that I could send healing to the situation with my twin, who I didn't realize was my twin. And so I started doing that. And then when she wrote me the certificate, I was so shocked, because her name was the exact same initial and surname as my twin. And yeah, so when she gave me the certificate and it was like the initial and the name, I was like, what? And because I was like, oh wow, this is super weird, because the person I'm coming to be healed about is now giving me the certificate. And also I've learned that I could actually heal that situation through, so it was all very weird. And then what happened was, after I started doing the Reiki, lots of synchronicities started happening, and I just couldn't, and I couldn't really explain any of them. So I did my Reiki Master, and then I got into, then I went to the London School of Psychics, College of Psychics, and I started doing courses there, shamanic course. And in my shamanic course, you journey to meet your spirit guide. And when I did a journey to meet my spirit guide, it was my twin. And I was like, what are you? And basically you see it in your third eye. And I saw him and I was like, what are you doing here? kind of thing. And he was like, well, I'm your spirit guide. And I still knew nothing about twins, but it was getting more and more surreal that I was now seeing him. He was my spirit guide. And so then I did past life regression therapy, because I wanted to experience past lives and know how to do that. And then sure enough, he popped up in my past life, as he would. And everything that I did it was always him that was there. And then finally what happened was, I think it was, I'd basically been at the College of Psychic Studies, and we were doing role plays between us in the class. And after that session, I started to see his spirit all the time. And he would be around me, and I could see him, again, through my third eye. And he was asking me to do something very specific, and he wouldn't let it lie. And I don't know if you've ever seen Ghost, but there's a part where Whoopi Goldberg is singing, where she's not listening to Patrick Swayze, and he sings, I'm Henry VIII, I am, I am, I am. And he won't shut up until she does this thing. And my twin spirit was doing something similar to me like that. And I got so upset, because I was like, why are you with me? And why can't you just tell him to do it? Because he was asking me to do something. And he said to me, and this is his twin spirit, I know it's very confusing, but he said to me, I can't, because you're his twin flame. I can't leave you because you're my twin flame or something. And
right.
And that's how I start. And then I was like, well, I don't even know what that is. And that's when I started to research about twin flames, and then that's history. Then it took me on a whole new journey. So it was basically my twin's spirit. I was seeing him everywhere, which I guess a door had been opened when I started doing Reiki and all the other kind of healing modalities. And it gave a door to his spirit to come to me. And then it was actually his spirit that told me that I was his twin flame. So yeah, and it was very surreal. Now looking back, I thought I was totally mental. I literally went to the point of going to a psychiatrist, because I thought, oh my God, I'm losing the plot. But actually, yeah, it's all part of the process.
And I can relate, because when I went through my awakening, and I mean, I've been awakened since a young girl. This has been natural for me since I was born, but as I ascend higher and higher, it's when I went through a really big shift, it's very surreal, and things happen and you think you're just crazy. Like you just think it's crazy. Yeah, so, and even though I knew what was happening, I was just downloading so fast that it was very overwhelming.
Yeah. And it's also because it's such a bizarre I mean, it's a bizarre concept anyway for somebody to say, oh, I can see. Well, just putting it into normal language. Yeah, the guy that I dated for about 2 weeks, I can't ever get him out of my head, and now I see him around me, and it's not something that you can tell anyone, because they'd be like, yeah, you're definitely, we need to get the funny farm after you. It's like, it's just crazy. And that's the thing, because it just changes everything. I literally was only with him for about 2 weeks, and it changed my entire life, just those first 2 weeks. And it's not that's, because that kind of thing, people, unless they've experienced it themselves, they're just not going to understand. And so it makes you feel quite alone as well on that process, because it's not like, yeah, it's weird. You can't explain it, because the normal dating kind of things just don't apply.
Absolutely. And I can completely relate. Like when I was 15 and I grew up knowing that I would just know. So
Yeah.
dating wasn't ever something that was a part of my life. Like it was not ever something that was on my radar. It's not something I was interested in. Plus how sensitive I am. I really have a hard time like connecting with people, because I see their energies so clearly. So when their energies aren't in alignment with their actions, I just don't even go there. So I really only connect with people whose energies are in align with their actions. So it makes my circle very small.
Yeah.
And my grandpa passed away when I was 15. And when I went in to say goodbye, he was sitting, his body was laying in the bed, but he was sitting up and talking to me.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, what is going on here? Because I always heard spirits and I connected with them and I knew them, but I had never actually been so open to see them. And he simply looked at me and said, do not waste your time with boys, Kendra. You have a purpose, and you will know when it is your time. You will know, which had already confirmed and reiterated everything that I had known since I was young.
Yeah.
And then this spirit is telling me, right, that this is what I do. So I just continued on my journey. And so then the twin flame connection is also there as well. And yes, and I just knew, and it's just the way it is, and people don't get it. They do not understand, and it is not logical, and it is not anything of the sort. So
yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? Because it is so defies all logic, and the hardest thing is to trust in that intuition, because that's all you have to go on, right? Because often, and still for me, what my twin does in so-called reality is completely opposing to what his spirit is telling me, and so even, but the one thing is that I know is that whenever I see, because I'm, lots of people don't, so we're all in different dynamics, but I actually see my twin, it's intermittently. And the one thing is that when we look in each other's eyes, that was the first thing I thought when I first ever saw him. There was that just knowing, and that moment of like, oh my God, you're the one. And that's the thing. So that can never, the eyes are the windows to the soul, right? And no matter what he says or what his outer kind of physical reality, what he's doing, it just, his eyes give everything away, basically. So yeah, it's quite a surreal experience. And one that it just keeps getting more and more surreal, to be honest.
I hear you. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break, Nikki. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about unconditional love, how it relates to the journey,
Yeah.
the purpose that twin flames have, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit about your books
Yeah.
and what you do. How does that sound?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay, cool. So we will be back to my listeners right after the short break here.
See the ocean, how it sways in the sun, keeping our stories in its motion. Lies the truth about us. Things time will tell, we might never know. We'll be gone before it all begins. Send me your songs of tomorrow. I'm dying to know it all. Stories of joy and of sorrow. I'm dying to know it all. To know it all. See the trees grow, they were here long before. They're keeping our stories, and when we're older, they will still stand tall. Things time will tell, we might never know. We'll be gone before it all begins. Send me your songs of tomorrow. I'm dying to know it all. Stories of joy and of sorrow. I'm dying to know it all. Send me your songs of tomorrow. I'm dying to know it all. Stories of joy and of sorrow. I'm dying to know it all. To know it all.
This is Kendra, your host from Surprise Your Spirit. I want to apologize to my producer because I don't think she was done playing the music and I just cut her off. So I would just like to welcome everyone back. On the previous side of the break, I was chatting with Nikki regarding her YouTube channel around twin flames. And she was sharing her story about how she came to know that she was a twin and what had prompted her awakening. And her YouTube channel is called The Divine Love Crystal Grid, so you can check her out there. So please, if you're just hopping in now, go back and listen to the podcast and check out the first part of this, especially if you've been curious about twin flames or doing some research and you want to have a personal story. Now, again, thanks so much for joining me tonight, Nikki. It's a pleasure to have you here.
You're welcome.
So Nikki channels letters from twin flame spirits. She also channels letters from spirit guides and whatnot. And I'll let her share a little bit about that in a moment. But Nicky started to channel letters from twin flames, and she was called to create books out of them. So Nicky has created 3 books called The Divine Love Letters, Volume 1, 2, and 3. And they are published and you can get them. So I'll let Nicky talk a little bit about her channeling letters, what drove her to create the books, and the purpose behind that. So if you want to share with the listeners, Nicky, a little bit about that, that would be great.
Sure. I guess this was sort of at the back end of last year, and my guidance had been saying, you need to do a book. And I was kind of like, with most of these things, you kind of think, oh no, I'm not ready for that yet. I'll just put that off and won't listen to my guidance for a bit. And then I was led to watch The Notebook, which is a film by Nicholas Sparks, and it's very romantic. And basically they write each other letters. And after I watched it, and I was guided to watch it about 3 times, and then what happened was my guidance said, right, now offer this to do channeled letters on your channel. And so I've just learned to sort of follow my guidance and to not argue, basically. So I was like, right, okay. And the first day I started talking about doing channeled letters in the video, and straight away I got people coming to me and asking for letters from their twins. And really quickly, basically within about a month, I had over 200 letters from people all over the world. And what was quite amazing was every one of them was coming back and saying, I can't believe it, because you've even used the same words that we've had in conversations, and it kind of sounds like my twin, and all of these amazing things. And it just kind of took me totally by surprise, to be honest, because I really wasn't, as with everything, I wasn't really expecting it at all. And so what happened was then it was like, right, you need to do a book. And I did the first book, and all of the letters are numbered. So in the first book, there's 202 letters. Sorry, in the first book, there's 201 letters. In the second book, there's 202. And in the third book, there's 266. So in the 3 books, there's 669 letters. And if you know anything about kind of numerology, then 6 is for unconditional love, and 69 is the number around divine union, because it's the divine feminine and divine masculine. And so what happened was that all happened so quickly that I suddenly had this body of letters from people all over the world. And it started to be, can you channel a letter from my child, from my future children that I've seen around? And then it's progressed now into sort of animal spirits have been a really strong energy that have been coming through sort of over the last month. And so now channeling from animal spirits, and also amazingly other energies of kind of very influential artists and singers who have passed to the other side, which has been, quite amazing, quite amazing. And so how the books are to be used is really as a guide and an oracle to help anyone raise their vibration in love. And so what happens is that if you see a number, or you might hear a number and it's or you might see it and it will keep coming up for you. And if you read, and then if you go to the books and you read that particular number in the book, then it will be a specific message for you. And what's been quite amazing for me is how even though these letters are for all of these different people all over the world, that the letter that comes through for you with that number is also so specific to you at that time. It's almost like it answers the exact thing that you were thinking about around your twin and your twin flame journey. So I can now totally see why I've been guided to do them, because they are literally a complete godsend for me and for other people that are using the books actively, like an oracle, because they're saying it's strengthened that connection with their twin spirit so much, because they are just getting the answers that they need straight away. And it's like Reiki. It opens the door, and maybe where there have been blocks before, it basically opens the door to allow your twin spirit to get messages to you, to help you on the journey. Because I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned through doing these books, is that it really is like, it was when I started doing them, it literally felt like there was a queue in my house of twin spirit all like lined up ready to give me their message. It was so amazing, because it really made me realize how much there is a desire and how much gets done behind the scenes, and our brains can't even comprehend it. But it just showed me, because just the volume that came through so quickly, and the amount of people from all over the world so quickly, and and now it's another evolution, because now I've started channeling from different star systems, and all of these things which I frankly had no idea about, but now I'm starting to learn more about that as well, because clearly there is such a need to have the love vibration raised on this planet, and there is so much support around us to make that happen, and all of them want to give their guidance to help us to make that happen. And that's what's been such a beautiful, incredible thing through doing these books. And actually, if people went, see, I find it quite difficult to do it for myself, but if somebody comes to me and asks for a letter, say from their guides, then I can do it very easily, because I just hear it, and there is no, I just write down what I hear. But actually, when I first started, my guidance was first saying, we want you to write, start channeling. I found that quite difficult, because I was like, no, I'm not ready for that. But then as soon as somebody asked me to do it for them, I found that I could do that no problem. So that's obviously, for me, that's how it works for me, that I do it, through for other people, because I don't know, I find it, I can do it for me, but I find it much easier doing it for other people.
I can relate to that, Nikki. I don't actually like to read for myself, because the human part of me gets in the way too much.
Yeah.
But for other people, it's simple. The information that I receive is very simple. It's very coming from spirit. Like, there's none of my ego involved. But I do find that my ego, when I try to do for myself, does get in the way. So I haven't even tried to read for myself in probably 3 years, just because it doesn't work. It's not true to myself. So there's just no point. So I completely understand that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why, because when I was kind of, when I do them, I always say to people beforehand, please don't give me any information at all, because I don't want to have any, exactly like you're saying, I don't want to think that because you've given me a bit of information that I then have somehow thought of the message. And that's really important for me, because basically when I do the healing, I tap into your energies and I see everything straight away. It's like somebody's just pressed play on a film, and I see it all, and I get a mantra that comes through, which when to align the energies. And in the same way, as soon as I start the letter, this is, you know, this is what happens. As soon as I start the letter, I start to hear, you know, I hear it. And then it just comes through super quickly, and then that's it, it's gone again. So yeah, it's quite an amazing thing. Yeah, it's but yeah, I totally agree. It's something that you can't filter, and when you're doing it for yourself, of course you have that, you can filter it, because you're kind of thinking, hang on a minute.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So would it be safe to say, Nikki, that I mean, in your perspective, I guess, I mean, this is also my perspective, but that twin flames have a big purpose in helping to ground unconditional love onto the planet, to teach others how to break away from, you know, superficial societal norms and do things from their heart, as opposed to a very structured list-like lifestyle.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So it shakes everything in your life, and also it is all about it's all about completely blowing out of the water any kind of stereotypes about how we should do things, and strips you to the core, really, so that you can see what is literally, that we're here to just love, basically, and to ground unconditional love onto the planet. And so I do a crystal grid, which is based, which basically people receive pieces of rose quartz, and I infuse it with an intent to bring twins into their union. But it's all centered around the forest lovers who are entwined together for eternity around the oak tree. And when I started doing that, I didn't, you know, again, the journey has unfolded and unfolded and unfolded. So at the beginning, it was just like, right, it has to be the forest lovers around the oak tree. And now I understand more and more and more through doing these letters, because I get, you know, I get confirmation now from the, you know, all of the energies that are around us wanting to give us guidance. And the first time that I channeled a letter for somebody's guides, it was from some, you know, energies around us, and they said, you are the, imagine yourself to be like the tree, and you are feeding the universe with love, just as the roots of the trees feed the forest. You are the roots of the trees feeding the universe. And well, that was the first channeling that I'd done for somebody's guides. And when I read it back, I was just like, oh my goodness, that is such a powerful analogy to realize what we're doing. And the, you know, the trees and the nature and animals and everything around us is helping us to see actually what the beauty of life is really love. And they're all supporting us in doing that. So it's incredible, because actually when you strip back everything else, nothing is as important as just loving unconditionally and seeing somebody that is, and being vulnerable. That's the biggest thing. And that's the biggest thing now that I'm learning, is it's about being vulnerable and opening your heart completely, and not having any expectations around getting anything back. And that's another big thing. It's about wanting to give and wanting to be love, and being, and kind of spreading that love onto the planet, because we are here born out of love, basically. So yeah, I think it's such a huge thing. And the twin flame journey, you know, just for me, you know, everything about my life has changed. You know, I don't have, so my job, I lost my job, like everything, completely everything. And conventionally, if you looked at my life now, people would be like, well, how can you be happy? You know, you're selling your home, you don't have a job, you don't have the trappings of what society say, right? And in the twin flame dynamic, we all have our things that are challenges, right? So again, in a society that's looking at the perfect relationship, well, me and my twin are far from that. You know, we're probably the other end of the scale, but it doesn't matter, because actually it's all about love. It doesn't matter about any of the other things around it.
I would completely agree, and more people need to learn to operate from that space, that it's not about what other people can offer you, it's what you can offer the world and each other.
Yeah, that's a lovely way of putting it. You know, it's about so one of the letters that again that I channeled, and it's just such a great visual. They said, imagine light beams coming out of your fingers and sunbeams coming out of your feet, and so when you walk, you're literally spraying love into the planet, and when you're walking with your fingers, you're literally spraying love beams out of your fingers. And I just thought, oh wow, that's such a cool way to think about it, because actually we all are just here to radiate love and be a little love bubble.
I would agree. Okay, can we read one of the letters out of the books, Nikki, so people can have an idea of what's in there?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to pick a number?
I do.
Okay.
I would like to pick number 13.
Okay. So do you want me to read 13 from each of the books?
No. Can I pick a number from each book, a different number from each book, and we'll read one from each book?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. We'll do 13 from book 1, 17 from book 2, and 86 from book 3.
Okay, you have to remind me, but
I will.
So 13 from book 1, and just to say that these so this one is somebody that came to me and asked for a message from their twin's higher self, and this is the message. I love you, plain and simple, and yet loaded with so much heartfelt meaning and sentiment that 3 words don't do it justice. In fact, every word in the dictionary times a million zillion couldn't even express the depth of my love for you. You may ask, how deep is our love really? Well, deeper than any ocean, bluer than any sky, and longer than any train ride known to man. You see, our love is immortal, unimaginable, invincible, and truly, truly magical. Beyond words, beyond pictures, beyond what the eyes can see to what we can feel in our hearts. Know that we make a whole, 2 perfectly fitting jigsaw pieces, creating a magnificent, beautiful, peaceful daisy chain heart. Oh my God. Sorry, I almost burst into tears, because this particular letter, my twin has actually said to me and you, we make a whole. So yeah, that's what that it just blows my mind actually every time. So that was the first one in book 1.
So let's do 17 in book 2.
Okay. And this is the same. So this is somebody that came to me, and this is their twin's higher self. I simply adore you in the simplest way, the truest way, the most honest and wholesome way. Basically, with all of me, I love all of you. It's been a hole in my heart that I've been looking to fill, and I know that my search is over. I know that soon our time will come to fill each other's holes, the holes in our hearts where each other's key fits. We hold the key, the sacred key for one another. That's why we've felt like there's something missing, that we've always been on the edge of our life beginning, It's because we give each other the key to complete our life mission. We unlock each other's souls.
Yay.
Yay! Amazing. It just gives me shivers.
Yes, it does. It's awesome. So let's look at 86 from book 3.
Okay. 86. Okay. Oh, okay. So there's this is the same. So this is between twin souls again.
Okay, my guides are changing their mind, Nikki, all of a sudden.
Okay.
They want 85.
They want 85. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, my sweet one. The one that makes me literally smile from the inside out. The one that makes me feel like I mean something, that someone really cares about me. You've always made me feel like I'm the only person who means this much to you. It's taken me a long time to allow myself to trust that. I knew that I could always trust in you, but it was allowing myself to trust in the feelings that I had for you. That's what makes me push you away. It's because I need to learn to trust me. I'm learning. I'm growing. By you sharing your love with me, I'm learning that I want to be with you. Oh. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I'm going to have to go read 86 now because I know exactly why they made me pick 85 instead.
Oh, really? Do you want me to read 86?
No, it's okay. There was a message in there that I needed to hear. So it was quite interesting how at the end they're like, no, 85. And I was like, okay, I'll ask.
And that's quite, I mean, when I look at, I mean, it is just quite bizarre because the volume of letters sort of came through really quickly.
Right.
And if, you know, if people who are on this twin flame journey, there is sort of like this, you know, that twin flames are, you know, coming into union in different time frames over the coming years. But there was a real sense of urgency for me to, and clearly because of the volume that came through so quickly. And I was kind of very pushed by my guides to get out the 3 books, the trilogy, before the end of last year. And so it's just, and that's why it's just really interesting to see how everything is going to unfold, because I never in a million years would have thought that I would be able to, well, it's not me, I'm just the scribe, so I'm just writing what I hear. But it amazes me that every single letter is different, and it is just, yeah, it just blows me away every single time because it's so on point and specific. And that last one about, you know, I had to learn to love me first, but you showed me that you made me feel special, but I had to then go away and feel special in myself. And that's the whole, that's the beauty of the journey, because you find the true self through your twin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we're out of time, and I want to thank you so much. I enjoyed your company. The hour flew by so fast.
Oh, it did, didn't it?
It did. So again, Nikki, do you want to tell everyone before we hop off how they can find you, where they can find the books, and all of that information?
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is Divine Love Crystal Grid, and all of the books are on Amazon, and if you search for Divine Love Letters, I write under an author name of Bella Tinks, and that's Bella and then Tinks. And so they're available in paperback and also in Kindle version as well. And also I'm on Instagram, Divine Love Crystal Grid. And also I do a hashtag. So for anyone who is on Instagram, I do hashtag Grow the Flame. And this is everyone that has synchronicities and pictures and all of the amazing signs that come through on this journey. And that hashtag grow the flame is just getting bigger and bigger because we're anchoring literally the flame of love onto the planet. So that's another thing that you can add to. And then, yeah, my Facebook, which I'm not that hot on, but it is Forest Lovers Crystal Grid.
And do you have a website, Nikki?
I do. It's divinelovehealing.co.uk.
Okay, cool. So for all the listeners, this will be posted with the podcast of the show, all of Nikki's information, so that if you would like to track her down or contact her, it will be there with the show. And thank you so much for joining me, Nikki. It's been such a pleasure. Maybe we'll have you back in the future and we can chat some more.
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks everyone for joining me this Thursday evening. Please stay posted. I have a lot of wonderful and amazing guests joining me moving forward with some really great information. You can email me at Kendra if you know of anyone who, or at Kendra at surpriseyourspirit.com if you know of anyone who has some information or wants to share their story of their journey that you feel would be beneficial for others to hear. Or if you have any ideas for the show or anything you'd like to see on the show that I could possibly track down a guest to join us and talk about with. Thank you so much all for joining me this evening, and I will catch you all soon. Take care and have a great night.
See the ocean, how it sways in the sun, keeping our stories in its motion. Lies the truth about us. Things time will tell, we might never know. We'll be gone before it all begins. Send me your songs of tomorrow. I'm dying to know it all. Stories of joy and of sorrow. I'm dying to know it all. To know it all. See the trees grow, they were here long before. They're keeping our stories, and when we're older, they will still stand tall. Things time will tell, we might never know. We'll be gone before it all begins. Send me your songs of tomorrow. I'm dying to know it all. Stories of joy and of sorrow. I'm dying to know it all. Send me your songs of tomorrow.